This video is brought to you by patreon.com/worsttake. Get access to exclusive live streams and Discord servers, on-screen shoutouts, and early access to some videos when you join now. Help make sure that we can continue to make content like this by supporting the Patreon. Links are in the description down below.
You watch the Browns long enough, you'll live to see it all. I've never been somebody who advocates routinely for the backup quarterback. I'm usually in favor, even if I don't think that starting quarterback is good for the long run, and I think that the team should make plans to move off a starting quarterback. I'm usually in favor of just rolling that out because usually that's the best option available. But this season is the first time, at least since I've been doing these videos, where I am at the point to where I think the Browns would legitimately be better off playing their backup quarterback. And there's a number of reasons I feel that way. And it may not be because I think Jameis Winston is more talented than Deshaun Watson, even though at this point it's debatable. I think there's just a lot that surrounds Deshaun when it comes to the baggage that he brings to the team, not just from an emotional standpoint, but certainly from a offensive game plan and structure standpoint. There's baggage that he brings. I know Steeler fans love to bring this up, but I make this same argument with Russell Wilson. I stand by that argument, right? Russ has baggage when it comes to what comes with him when he plays on the football field. The same thing is true with Deshaun Watson. You can't just run whatever you want when Deshaun Watson's out there. You have to run what Deshaun wants to run because he's supposed to be a superstar quarterback. And when you're in a situation where you're paying a superstar quarterback rates, and that superstar quarterback's under 30, you're going to do things to make that quarterback better. This is what Andy Reid would do. This is what Sean McVay would do. This is what Bill Belichick would do, right? You have a quote-unquote superstar quarterback. You're going to do things to build around the strengths of a superstar quarterback. The problem then becomes, when that is the case, what happens when the superstar quarterback is no longer able to play at a level that justifies the superstar structure, right? When you have a superstar quarterback, you structure your team a very specific way because you're expecting your quarterback to overcome some of the issues. You're expecting your quarterback to be really good at certain aspects of the game. But when those aspects that quarterback is supposed to be good at drops, then all of a sudden that style of play becomes unsustainable. My bad. Think of another example here. Cam Newton. Cam Newton played the way Cam Newton likes to play. It's part of the reason Ken Dorsey's here. And when Cam Newton was playing the way that he liked to play, and when he could execute that game plan, Cam Newton was one of the best quarterbacks, if not the best quarterback in the NFL during that period. Definitely one of the most exciting, one of the most explosive quarterbacks. But the second Cam Newton could not play the way you would expect Cam Newton to play, steep fall off, right? They tried to do this. I mentioned Bill Belichick earlier in this video, right? Bill Belichick tried to do the same thing that we're doing with Deshaun, right? Hey, he's under 30. He's a former superstar quarterback. Let's bring him in. Let's build this offense around him. He got Josh McDaniels to build an offense around Cam Newton, and it imploded because Cam could not do what was necessary to be able to run an offense around a superstar quarterback. The reason I think Jameis Winston will be a better option for the Cleveland Browns for the short term, right? Because this is what this video is focused on. The long term's a different picture. I'm not saying you got to start Jameis for 10 years, but if we're just talking about the short term, this year and maybe next year, I think Jameis or an option similar to Jameis Winston is a better option for the Cleveland Browns going forward, because you don't have to build an offense around the strengths and weaknesses of Jameis Winston for Jameis Winston to play good enough football. You don't have to build the Jameis Winston offense. Jameis Winston has been a backup quarterback since 2019? So he spent the last 5 years being a backup. He spent the last 5 years getting used to playing in offensive systems that weren't built around his strengths and weaknesses, which means that Jameis is more plug and play than he was back in Tampa Bay. He actually did a really good job of this in 2021 when he stepped in New Orleans as the starter. And since Jameis doesn't have to be the focal point of the offense in the same way that Deshaun has to, right? I know people are wondering, why are the Browns throwing the ball this much? Because they're paying a quarterback $45 million, and that quarterback's supposed to be a superstar, and they build an offense around a superstar quarterback. He's the focal point of the offense right now. He's not a good focal point of the offense, but he's the focal point of the offense. If you bring in Jameis, there's no expectation that Jameis Winston is going to be the focal point of the offense. We've talked about it. Every other quarterback who's played in the Deshaun Watson era, not named Deshaun Watson, people have made the argument that the offenses flow better when it's not Deshaun Watson in there. Now, why might that be the case in retrospect? Maybe the case is that when Deshaun Watson is in there, you have to run an offense for Deshaun Watson. And Deshaun Watson, since he's been traded to Cleveland for whatever reason, and I think there's been multiple reasons, right? I don't think it's just been one reason he hasn't been able to perform at this level. I think there was a reason in 2022 he couldn't do it. I think there was a reason in 2023 he couldn't do it. And I think there was a reason in 2024 he couldn't do it. I think they're all three different reasons. But nonetheless, for whatever reason, Deshaun Watson was never capable of that while he was in Cleveland, of being the focal point of the offense. He was not a good enough quarterback to do that. And that's what made the offense worse. It's not that Deshaun Watson might have been in 2022 a worse quarterback than Jacoby Brissett, or that he was a worse quarterback in 2023 than whoever you want to say he was a worse quarterback then. It might have been that when Deshaun's in there, you're going to lean on him more. And the more you lean on a quarterback who's not that good, the more you're going to realize that quarterback's not that good. Jameis is not going to be the focal point of the offense if he's in there. If Jameis is in there at quarterback, Nick Chubb is going to be the focal point of the offense. The Browns' run game is going to be the focal point of the offense. Play action passing is going to be the focal point of the offense. David Njoku is going to be the focal point of the offense. See, it allows the offense to operate as more of a collective unit that can carry the quarterback position than an individual unit that needs to be carried by the quarterback position. The quarterback's not good enough to carry the offense. Maybe the offense can do a better job of carrying the quarterback. And whenever Deshaun Watson's in there, or however Deshaun Watson's in there, it's not really an option to make him play an offense where the team carries him, because he can't play that way, because he's never played that way, because he doesn't know how to play that way, because he's been a superstar quarterback his entire NFL and college career. The offense in the system has always been Deshaun Watson. He knows that system. That's the only system he knows. The reason Jameis could probably operate Kevin's system better than Deshaun is because Jameis has had to run other people's systems before. When I watch the Browns play, I don't see a team that runs an offense. I see a team that's trying to run an offense through a quarterback who can't do it. It's a harsh reality. You can feel bamboozled, hoodwinked, led astray, the Stephen A. Smith meme, all that stuff. But the truth is, the reason I think this team will be better with Jameis is because it allows the team to not be focused around the quarterback position. And Deshaun is not the level of quarterback to where you can get away with focusing your offense around the quarterback position. So at least with Jameis in there, the focus is going to be elsewhere. Also with Jameis in there, you're probably going to play a lot more 11, 12 personnel. You're going to have tight ends out there in protection. The ball's going to come out significantly quicker. Deshaun Watson holds the ball some of the longest times. If any quarterback in the NFL, Jameis will be under that. So you will see less sacks. I mean, like, remember how much of a problem the offensive line was with DTR? And then Joe Flacco comes in there, and it's not that much of a problem anymore because Joe Flacco gets rid of the ball quickly. I think there are opportunities for this offense that Jameis can take advantage of. And let's be honest here. Jameis is going to throw more interceptions than Deshaun would in this offense. That is going to happen. But the Browns' problem isn't that they're turning the ball over right now. The Browns' problem is that they can't move the ball. And part of the reason they can't move the ball is because it feels like Deshaun Watson is terrified of throwing an interception. There are so many opportunities that I see that can be taken advantage of in this Browns offense that Deshaun Watson declines to even attempt to take a chance at. Now, Jameis will take a chance at those opportunities. Jameis is not a elite level quarterback, so he's going to throw some interceptions in those moments, but I do think he will at least try to make those plays, which will mean you'll get more big plays, which will mean you'll move the ball downfield. And I guess one of the things that some of the people who are more diehard on Joe Flacco in hindsight had a point in was we might have made too much of those interception numbers. Because yes, Joe Flacco threw a ton of interceptions, but the Browns were always able to move the ball with Joe Flacco. Now, some of those interceptions you wish Joe Flacco could stay away from, right? Some of the interceptions that did not happen when he was throwing the ball deep. But the deep ball interceptions really didn't hurt the Browns as much as, and I guess we never had a good enough conversation about the Joe Flacco interceptions, about which interceptions mattered and which ones didn't. See, the Joe Flacco interceptions that hurt you were the ones that he threw that were short, right? Those were the interceptions that killed you, but those aren't the interceptions we think of. The interceptions we think of are like the deep ball interceptions. Those weren't as consequential for the Cleveland Browns because those are basically big, long arm punts. We had a great defense. We could stop it. But what we did not conversate about enough, what we did not recognize, I think, at the time was how demoralizing it would be if you have an offense that, yeah, sure, they don't turn the ball over, but they don't move the ball at all. I don't think we thought about that enough. And I think some of the Flacco people, as aggressive as they were about it at the time, do deserve credit for making that point. And that's a point that I think works in favor of Jameis Winston as well. Jameis will throw more interceptions than Deshaun. He will turn the ball over more than Deshaun. But he will get the ball down the field. He'll move the ball. He won't be afraid to take some chances here. And I think that's better for the team. I also think it's better for the team to have an offense that's not focused around the quarterback position. I think you could do a lot with the offense if you get whatever's going on with Amari Cooper Wright, and you get Jerry Jeudy involved, and you get David Njoku involved, and you get Nick Chubb involved. I think you can carry a quarterback a good amount with those pieces. I think you can make the offensive line better when you put less stress on them from the quarterback position. I wonder if Jameis could be better at some of the pre-snap stuff than Deshaun Watson has been. Doesn't seem like Deshaun does a great job of that stuff. I think this football team is better with Jameis Winston, in my personal opinion. Not because Jameis has a higher ceiling than Deshaun, even though, again, that's debatable at this point. Like, Deshaun's theoretical ceiling is very high. But let's talk about a practical ceiling with Deshaun. And, like, we're just hoping that he gets to Daniel Jones quality at some point, right? So arguments about where Deshaun's ceiling is aside, that's why I think this team, this offense will be better with Jameis. It's not because I think they're going to go all the way back to the Kevin Stefanski offense. I think there are a lot of things you would want to keep from this Ken Dorsey offense that you would want Jameis to run. I think there's been some good stuff that you've seen there that hasn't been able to be executed in the passing game. I think just the mentality being different at the quarterback position and the quarterback being different changes the mentality of the offense totally. I think that will be a good thing for this team. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Y'all have a great day. Have a better night. Peace.